Today in this video I thought I would be presenting you how I make coffee at home. Years ago I've already made a video on how I make my coffee, but my process has changed since then, and I thought I would show you my favorite coffee currently, what I use to make my coffee, and I thought I would brew myself a cup. Okay, so first of all, let's start with the coffee. And currently I am buying beans of coffee, not grinded yet, because I do grind them myself with this hand grinder. And this one I've already used in the first video I've made on coffee, and it's been with me for years now. It is really steady and really good quality overall. And here you've got the mechanism, how it works, and I am able to unscrew and rescrew this area, and that way I can really choose how small the coffee is grinded, if I want bigger or smaller parts of the coffee, and this actually has an influence on the taste, and this is important to know what kind of coffee machine you use to know what would be the ideal size for the grinding of the coffee. So yeah, basically you just pour the coffee beans right here on top of the coffee grinder, and basically you hand grind. It takes a little while, but basically you get the freshest coffee you can with this method. And it is by the brand Kalita. And this is, I think, a famous Japanese brand for anything coffee related. I know they do more coffee machines as well, and other stuff related to coffee. So yeah, I bought this a while ago and it hasn't moved at all. It's really in good shape. So yeah, I'm gonna show you the coffee I'm using these days, okay? So these may be really crinkly, so I'm gonna try to be as gentle as possible, but there may be some harsher sounds I'm gonna lower when I'm gonna edit the video. But basically, currently I am drinking this one, which is Lua de Mel, from Brazil. It is by Coffee Makers, which is basically my favorite all-time coffee place where I live. And actually I was already using their coffee in the first coffee video, so I've stuck with this, and it is really good quality coffee. Actually, you can read here that it is carefully chosen by coffee makers and craftily roasted by Cloud Forest in Lille, France, where I live. So yeah, it was actually roasted on the 25th of January 2021, so this is really fresh, and it's perfect to have freshly roasted coffee beans to then grind and use for your coffee. You'll have the best taste the fresher it is. And so the coffee is from Brazil, from the, hope I'm not gonna say it wrong, but it is from the region Espírito Santo in Brazil. The process is half washed, so I'm not sure what that means. And yeah, it is from the farm of the Vieira family. And the variety of this coffee is Catuai yellow Catuai. And this is fair trade coffee beans. And the notes you'll get in this coffee are milk chocolate, hazelnut and clementine. And it's best to drink that coffee in the 6 months after the roasting date to get the fresh taste. And the notes I've just told you about, well, the coffee is not flavored in any way. This is just the notes that you can guess in the coffee, but this isn't added. It's already smelling so good. And I don't have that much left. I have like this left. So I think I'm gonna be using this one for the coffee today, but I have bought a second one, which is a different one I've never tasted before. Since that one is almost done, I bought a new one, and I thought I could be also showing you the second, not box, but the second coffee. Okay. So that one is organic, 100% Arabica, and it is from Guatemala. Interesting that on both, actually, they are mentioning the altitude of the coffee, where it was grown, I'm guessing. So this one is altitude 1,800 meters, and the other one I think was 1,000 meters. And this one has notes of chocolate, hazelnut, and coconut. Interesting how that one is organic, but the other one is fair trade. And I'm trying my best, to buy organic and fair trade, with a preference for fair trade. But it's interesting that with these two you can't have both at the same time, unfortunately. And yeah, this one is in beans. When I say grain, I mean beans. And otherwise, you can see that if it is already grinded, it would be either for espresso, filter, Italian machine, or French press, because all of these require a different kind of grinded coffee with a different size. So this is overall important. So I know that how I chose how big basically my coffee is after I grind it is depending on the time that it takes to grind it. And if you want something really fine, you're gonna have to hand grind for a really long time. So I think that's why I like my French press the best, because it doesn't require something super fine. So it's ideal for me because I wouldn't want to spend too much time grinding the coffee. And this one doesn't say when it was roasted, it only says that it's best to consume it before the 30th of January 2021. And I love that this packaging actually have this area here, which I'm not sure what they are about, but it's basically to preserve the coffee better, and through that you can actually smell the coffee. So it's a nice touch. Fresh coffee. And actually I'm not sure the other one has it. I know the older packaging they had, the white ones, they did have that. But yeah, there is still here the same kind of thing. But as there are not that many coffee left, well, it's not really smelling like anything. So let's go with that one, okay? I'm gonna be putting some in the coffee grinder, the hand grinder. Okay. I'm gonna be using this to have as little harsh sounds when I put things onto the table, but I know that this kind of stuff is actually really used in ASMR, and the sound is indeed really nice, so I think I'm going to tap on it for a little while. Plus I have long nails these days, so I might as well use them for tapping. Yeah, so okay, so I'm using this hand grinder. Okay, I make sure it is tight here because it usually, well, gets loose on its own. When I grind, at some point it gets loose, so yeah. And I took this with me today, which I don't usually use for taking the coffee, but today I'm gonna do this the fancy way, I would say, for you. So yeah, basically everything I'm showing you today is something I do every day, basically every morning. Well, I either go for tea or coffee, but most of the time is coffee. And yeah, I use this, hand grind, and use the French press. So it's gonna be a bit more noisy, so I'm gonna step a bit back here. Okay, do you think that is enough? I actually think that's a bit much because you can see that some is coming out of the lower part here, and usually I don't have that many, so I'm going to take a few away. I'm trying to find sounds which are not too harsh, so doing my best. Okay. Speaking of harsh sounds, the grinding sound is harsh. I'm gonna, well, lower the volume of course for you, but I may not show you the whole process because it's gonna take a couple minutes and it might be long and uninteresting, so I'll see how much I leave in the video, but I might have a cut here. Okay, let's go. Just having a break to let you know that it's smelling amazing, because as you're grinding, really you're breaking up the beans and the smell is just insanely good. Insanely good. Okay, I'm very good. This is the sound when it's done. Okay. Okay, so now that it is grinded, what I do is that I retighten the screw here, which looses up on its own. Okay, I'm gonna open this. Okay. And what I like too about this hand grinder is that it feels sustainable to me because the material used are basically wood and steel, I'm guessing, so it feels really durable and low energy to be made in a way. So this is it. This is the freshest coffee that you can get. Well, not the freshest coffee, but it's the freshest I can get for my morning coffees. Okay. Now what I do is that I just pour all of this coffee at the bottom of the French press. Actually, I didn't know it was called a French press until 3 hours ago, because in French we say cafetière à piston, which the piston is that thing here. So it's not called a French press in French, so you know. But in French we do have cafetière à l'italienne, which means Italian coffee makers, coffee machine. So in French we only have different kind of coffee machines and the Italian one, basically. Anyway. Okay. Maybe you can hear that. This is the great smelling, just grinded coffee. Anyway. Okay. Make sure to get all of the coffee out, of course. And if you want, you can tap on the wooden parts. Actually, I've used this quite a lot because at the beginning, at the bottom of the grinder, there were 3 foamy, thicker areas to have it, well, to protect the table underneath when you grind it, and now they're basically gone. So I've used it a lot, yeah. Also, Calita is the brand I told you about. This brand, I've not tried all of their products, or basically any other product than their hand grinder, but I feel like it's a good quality brand because my coffee place also use them for some of their coffee machines, so would recommend. Okay, let's put this back together. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna get some water, hot water, and I will be back. I'm back with the hot water, and now, very simple step, I'm just gonna pour the water onto the coffee, okay? I didn't grind a lot of coffee, I've ground enough for like a big cup, big mug of coffee. So for that amount I would put like that much water, maybe half of this size, kind of like that, because I like my coffee kind light, so it's gonna be good. Especially for you today, I'm going in really slowly, gently, and with like a circular motion, but usually I don't really take the time to do this. Okay, it seems good. I just forgot to take a spoon, but I usually give it a little stir with the spoon, so I'm gonna get a spoon now. And I'm just gonna stir it out a bit. That's it. And I think that's pretty good. Actually, I think I'm gonna add a tiny bit more water. Okay. And yeah, what I do then is just I wait for, well, the coffee to brew, and once this is done I'm gonna be slowly pressing on with the top part. But now we just have to wait a bit more, okay? And as we wait, I thought I would be actually telling you what I used in the past, because this coffee machine I actually bought a year ago, right before the first lockdown. And before I had this. And this was messy. This wasn't actually messy, this was just kind of a pain to use, because it's super sustainable, and that's the good part about this. But you see here that you have basically a steel filter. You can reuse and reuse and reuse. It is really, really thin, and it doesn't really let the coffee go through the coffee beans, coffee grind. So what I would do is that I would be putting the coffee here, pour very slowly and gently the water on top, then I would basically have it like that, just like that, and I would wait to have my coffee drop by drop, and it is a pretty long process. And to have the best coffee you should be heating up the mug underneath to keep it warm, because otherwise you get at the end kind of lukewarm coffee, which isn't really ideal. And yeah, you basically had to do all the work and be near it and pour very slowly water, and it was just so long. For a small cup for myself it was okay, I could do it, but if I had someone over and I was offering them coffee, it would be super long to do the whole process for 2 cups. So I thought, I'm just gonna have something more practical in the end, and the French press is exactly that for me. Still, I find it really cool to have a reusable coffee filter like that, because what people usually use is paper filter, which is, well, you're supposed to throw away. So it's nice to have a sustainable option for sure. But yeah, I didn't feel like it was really practical when you had to do multiple coffee cups. So yeah, I actually had this one for a really long time because in the first coffee video, which was I think like 4 years ago, this is what I was using, but it was really long to get a single cup of coffee, so I found a simpler option. So I think we can start to move on with the coffee now. It is smelling really good. And yeah, what I do is just I take this top part of the French press, and what it does sometimes, it, as the other thing, it unscrews sometimes, so I'll just make sure it is tight, and then I put it on top here, and I just slowly press it, very slowly. That way you are having the coffee parts at the bottom, and on top you only have the beverage you want to get in your cup. So yeah, I would say basically that every coffee machine has its pros and cons, and that one is really good if you like large coffee, and if you don't want to spend too much time. It's pretty easy and straightforward, but yeah, it really depends on what your favorite kind of coffee is, and the time and the energy and the money that you are willing to put into your coffee machine. Okay, today I'm going to be using this mug. I actually got, when was it? I think it was last autumn, and it is a second-hand mug that I bought, and here you just have some alien language. It's written the year 2000. On the other side you have an alien face and at the bottom it is written made in England, Thames. And I have a couple mugs made in England with the same kind of thing at the bottom. I wish I would have, or I wish I would see more new stuff with that kind of writing at the back, but I feel like it's getting rarer and rarer, unfortunately. So yeah, let's go. I had still a bit more available, but this is not my biggest mug, so I don't really have much space in it. Yes, it's smelling really good. It's a bit too hot right now for me to try it, but that's basically how I make my coffee. And yeah, I think that's it. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed and found it interesting, and maybe even learned a thing or two about different kind of items and things you can use to make coffee at home. I know that in France we don't really have that tradition of getting your coffee outside in the morning. We usually get our coffee rather at work or at home, but we don't really buy it on our way to work or something like that. So it's pretty common in France to make your coffee at home. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. One last thing about this way of making coffee is that I'm always trying to find like a sustainable way of doing something, and I still feel like this think this French press is pretty sustainable. Not as much as the filter I was using before, but it's still already so much better compared with the usual Nespresso machine with, you know, the single-use coffee. And I'm not really into them. So yeah, to me this is a really good compromise between sustainability and quality of the coffee that you get in the end. So yeah, that's why I like it so much, and I wanted to share it with you today. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.